Our music.
I know.
Hi,
Good
everyone.
morning.
Can you
Well,
hear me? Do I sound good?
you sound amazing, Ange.
You guys, we haven't done the podcast. It feels like a million years, but it's only been like a little over a week. But it
Mhm.
does feel a little
Yeah,
like
Lisa
it's
was
been a
out
long
for the
time.
count.
So much has happened.
It goes, yeah. So welcome to Hot Flashes and Margaritas. Um, yeah, I had an incident yesterday that really got my little mind thinking. So I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'm a cyclist. I used to race back in the day, but it's been a minute. So I still go out and I ride. And I was riding yesterday, and on my way back home, it was really windy, and so I was just, like, dying. And so I was just, like, head down, you feel like you're literally riding against a wall. Um, and so I'm just riding, and there's streetlights, and I'm going through, and there was a section where they had, like, there's a little bit of cones, shifting one of the lanes, and I was in that lane, and so I'm coming up to where the stoplight is, and I'm in, like, the bike lane towards the end, and this guy that's, like, in a car that's, like, not next to me, but over another lane decides to make a right in front of me, and, I didn't have to stop all the way at the light, so I'm rolling through the light, and, I braked as hard as I could and almost went over my handlebars, but luckily did not get hit by the car. And I was just like, when that happens, you're just like, like your like life flashes before your eyes.
And I think for people that don't realize, like you're clipped into to your bike, right?
Yeah.
So for people that don't know, if you're not a cyclist or if you don't cycle or if you haven't really thought about it, like I always wonder because I live in an area where there's a lot of cyclists and there's a lot of cyclists that get hit.
Mhm.
E-bike kids get hit, cyclists get hit, I think 2 a week. It's a very common occurrence where I live, and I think what people don't realize, because you think to yourself, "Why don't they just get out of the way or why don't they just jump off their bike?" You can't,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Explain that before you go on, like, you're stuck on that bike, right? Are
Yeah,
you
and
clipped in?
I'm in my bike lane, so I'm definitely not expecting somebody from 2 lanes over to be all of a sudden making a right in front of me. They're not right next to me.
But
They're
what I
over
mean
an
is you're
entire lane.
trapped on that bike. There's no way to jump
Yeah.
off the bike, or there is? There isn't, right?
No, you're clipped in.
You're
Yeah, so
clipped
you're
in.
going with the bike for
You're
sure.
going with the bike and you are going fast.
Yeah,
So, it's a lot. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, no, and so I'm writing and I'm like, "Wow, God, thank you for protecting me." Like, that guy was an idiot, like, "Thank you that you watched over me." And I continue to ride home, and then I realize, "Lisa, you don't need to be riding home. You need to be multiple blocks back. You parked your car in a cafe this morning." And I totally had forgotten that I had, parked in a cafe and rode from there, and I had to turn around, and then I was thinking, I wasn't even supposed to have that experience of almost getting hit by a car. I wasn't even supposed to be there. I was supposed to be, because that happened after where I had parked, if that makes sense, right? So, I was riding back and I was just thinking about life, and I was thinking about, wow, even when we have these, whether they're conscious or unconscious, like detours, we're on a different path, we're going a different
So
direction,
true.
right? In life, that, like, there's still provision there. Like that God knew already, right? Like,
So
you're
true.
he knows already that you're, like, gonna detour, even if you don't even know, because it's not like I consciously did that. I didn't consciously do that. Sometimes in my life, I've consciously done that. I've been like, "Oh, I'm jumping over here," even though it may not be the best thing for me, you know?
Mm.
But yet, you know, just thinking about, God in those moments of our lives, right? Where we're off the path, but that doesn't mean he's not on the path with us, and how powerful that is. Because I could have been in the hospital. Like, I thinking about, if I would have been going 1 second faster, if
Mhm.
I had not hit the light before, right?
So
If
many
the
things.
wind wasn't windy that day, I would have collided in that car, and I don't know what would have happened to me. And I just think there's so many times like that though, that we're protected and we don't always see it,
Yeah,
right?
Tim Story talks about it like it's a setup for, like, a breakout, like, it's like he uses a really good terminology. If you don't know who Tim Story is, look him up, but he talks about setting up. You're being set up for, like, a win.
Mhm.
I was just talking to Lisa before we went on about this new, thing that I'm working on with a team that we're creating, and, I was telling the ladies that I'm working with, like, so many things had to go wrong for this to happen. There had to be this, like, situation in my home that went wrong, and so then my assistant wasn't here anymore, and then this property that had to go wrong for, like, a year in order for it to be available, and then,
Mhm.
um, something else. Oh, the person that one of the people on the team, she was, like, not getting hired, and she always gets hired, and for her to be available, like, um,
Mm.
this this situation, another aspect of it that, like, it was, like, a most challenging situation, and I was like, "God, there's gotta be something in this that you're, like, doing because this is so hard," and it
Which
like, so many things had to go
yeah.
wrong for this thing to go right,
Yeah,
you know?
so then I think, like, do we like what you did in that situation, you're talking vaguely about it, but, like, you you noticed, and I've done this
You
with people
notice.
actually recently, where you notice, "What's happening right now? This is not normal. What's going on?" Like, all of a sudden, you have that mega analysis, you step out of the situation, and you're looking at it from a bigger view to see what is really what what's going on here? What do I need to
And I think that's part of that is maturity, and part of it is, tenacity, and part of it is, um, being connected with yourself and with your experiences in the past, and I think as women, sometimes we don't do that. We don't
Hmm.
look back and go, "Wow, I got through all of those things." We think like, "Oh, one more time something bad's gonna happen or happening," when in reality, it's like every single one of those things you overcame to get to where you are. Like, you always when in reality, you always win.
So
You
the
always win.
perspective not to just focus on another negative thing. Of course, this happened to
It's
me,
to
which is
flip
so
it.
easy.
It's to
Yes.
flip it and go, "One more time, I always win. I always win. I've always
Another
gotten through it."
opportunity. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Now what
and so
now what can I do
now
this
in
time?
my stage of life and where I'm at is I go, "What?" I don't I it's not that I wanna say, "What's God doing?" Because I feel like when we say that sometimes, it feels like we're being preachy, right? Like, we're
Mhm.
going like, "See, you should be thinking of what God's doing for you." I'm
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
saying that.
Yeah.
It's like, but what is the highest, like, what is God doing? But
Mhm.
not saying what's God doing to, like, impress people, but, like, what the heck is God doing in this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because sometimes it's so much bigger than us. It's bigger than the way we think, you know? When I was thinking this is kind of side related, but, like, similar situation, but smaller setting of trying to date and feel like blocks, block, 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 and I'm like, "What is going on? Like, what this is unreasonable. These catastrophes that keep happening, these
Yep.
people that I'm just supposed to be supposedly meeting," like and it really does if you start seeing things, it's I guess training yourself to just pause for a second and, like, look to see bigger. Is there a
Yeah.
lesson here that I'm not paying attention to that I'm just focused on this that I
And then
can't
I
see?
think it's too the discipline of when something else pops up, being able to say like, "Okay, what?" Not get upset about it, but like, "Okay, this is" the Carlotta, my, like, amazing second mom,
Mhm.
sponsor, like, guru, like, everything, used to say, um, what did she used to say? Like, "What's the gift?" What is the gift? What's the I'll think of it again. I'm kind
Like
of
the
like
takeaway of it or the
not the takeaway, I'll
gem
remember,
the gem
but,
in the
it's the
refuge that we're
the
digging through?
file. Yeah, I'll remember in a second, but, yeah, I think I do you wanna share a little bit of your experience with why that is so scary with the bike or no?
Um, no, I mean, I've had obviously racing for years, like, I've had a lot of
But
close
you've known people
calls.
that have gotten hurt
Oh,
and
I've had girls die, yeah, in the race I was in, and I've we've lost people,
in the racing world, in the bike world,
yeah.
you know people that you've
Well,
lost.
you're riding in packs, you're so close together, but when you're training, you're out on the road and cars, they look at you when they come up to you, and as they look, they're veering closer to you, and, like, those trucks with the big mirrors, oh my gosh, I just so many times, right? But if anything, I think I don't ride afraid, I don't ride thinking I'm gonna get hit, I just don't, I just don't think like that in general, but I think this this moment yesterday about the fact that, like, I'm just thinking about my life, and I think so many people like you
This type of mhm.
go a different way, and you think, there's no turning around, which, by the way, you can turn around in your life, like, that reminder of if you're going out and you realize, nope, whoops, mistake, too far, or, I thought, but I was wrong, or whatever, you can always turn around, and
Yeah,
there's no shame in that. Like, I literally laughed at myself, I was like, "What are you doing? You you literally just rode farther and you're so tired." Um, but there's no shame in going further and figuring out that's not the way and going back,
yeah,
And that I believe that God's with you in that. Like, I believe that, like, God doesn't leave us because we venture off in the dirt, a different path, like that.
yeah,
He already knows, and, like, that's the free will part that we're trying to figure this life out, and we don't freaking know what we're doing.
we
And
don't.
sometimes we make
Well,
the
I
wrong move, you know?
I know what we're doing. We don't know what
I mean, I've like, yeah, I could use that example in so many different things. Parenting, where you're like
oh, parenting.
trying something and you're like midway through, you're like, this isn't working. This is not, they're moving away from me. They're not moving towards me. This is not good.
Yeah. I
And you
think
have
it's
to shift.
really, like I think it's really giving it a voice too, and being able to, like that's what I love about, uh, being a therapist and working with people, is that I will bring almost everything into the room with, like, if someone says something, "Did it just zoom in? Why did it
Hi.
zoom in?" I don't know how to fix it.
People like us to be really close. Hi, everybody. I can see your red lips. Looks great. And it's fine. We
Do
just
we
have a
like to
little,
be zoomed in?
I don't know.
Okay, not in this show, we'll do it on a different one. That was so crazy. Talk about the cat. So we went, changing subjects, we went, on a retreat. So I was in a retreat in Malibu, at, like, a campsite. So it wasn't, like, fancy, fancy, but one of the ladies that I know that I've known for quite some time, maybe 20 years, she got lost getting to the campsite. And so I said to her, you can, do you want maybe she's obviously battling with, like, in her mind, she's battling with, like, can I drive anymore? Like, what's going on? And I said,
Mhm.
well, so I know that in my mind, in my gut, I knew that. And so I just said, hey, well, maybe next time, maybe you're at the stage now where you need to follow someone in and out of the campsite. Um, and she goes, "No, I don't think I can ever come here again, or, I don't know if this is I'm gonna be able to do this anymore." And I was like,
She
"No,
went really far in her
she
thinking. She
did."
went
And I said,
way over. Yeah.
"No, you just need to meet someone at Jack in the Box by the highway and be like, 'Okay, we're at Jack in the Box. Let's get a
Just a
soft drink,'
little adjustment,
and
just a
then
little
go
adjustment, not
follow
like a
each other
massive.
into the canyon."
Yeah.
Right. And, because 'cause I've been going there so long that I remember showing up, like, at, you know, 10 o'clock at night when I was, like, 21 years old and getting lost in the dark. So it's like, it's not an age thing, you can really get lost and,
Mhm.
so it's like, okay, adjust your thinking, and now I go during the day, I don't go late. So, anyway, so because of that, she still said no, and I was like, "Of course." So, when we were leaving, coincidentally, I see this car parked on the side to get out of the campsite to go back to the road. And I she rolls down her window and she goes, "I think I'm gonna take you up on that. Do you mind if I follow you back?" And I said, "No, of course, let's go together."
Mm.
So I said, instead of she said, "Well, I'm gonna be turning left instead of right." And I said, "No, no, no, I'm going in your direction." Because she knows where I should be going. She goes, "Okay, great. So I can take you all the way to the highway." So we are coming out and we have to stop because this bus comes through, the school bus with kids. And then we get going and we're together. So we come out onto the main road and turn around, and there's this horrible accident with 3 cars that were, like, on the side, and it had
Mhm.
just happened.
Mm.
And I thought the same thing. I thought, "What if I hadn't said to her, like" chills, like, what if I hadn't said to her, like, "No, we'll go together," and she waited for me, and there was, like, that delay? Like, we could
Mhm.
have either one of us could have been in the accident,
Mhm.
but because we slowed down and, like, did it together, we just kind of even if she went by herself, she would have been frightened of the accident, but we, like, made our
Right.
way through together.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought about, like, your example of the bike ride because it really was I was supposed to be there. I was,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of stories with 9/11 too, with
Yeah.
people that were supposed to be in the building or not supposed to be in the
Yeah.
building. But 9/11 is another example. I had gone to a wedding in July, and I've been to New York, but the friend that I was bringing to with me to the wedding, the friend that was going to the wedding had never been to New York, and I we stayed where the PATH train enters, Wall Street, which is where the buildings were,
Mhm.
and, the PATH train you take underneath the Hudson River to Jersey City, so we had lunch in the World Trade Center, we, like, were in and out of the PATH train, and I remember we were only there for, like, 5 days, and I was so irritated because we spent, like, 3 of those days at the World Trade Center. 3, and we it's not all there is to see in New York,
Yeah.
right? There's
Yeah.
so much else,
Yeah.
and July that was July of 2001, and then in September, the building was gone, and it was just this, like, horrific thing that happened, and I just thought to myself, "Oh my gosh," like, I was just there. Not that I was gonna be in that
Sure.
catastrophe, but just like that's where we spent the majority of our time, and now it's gone. We wouldn't have
Mhm.
we could have stayed on the other side of Manhattan and never even seen it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just there's so many things. I mean, I think that the main point is for me is just knowing when I'm in it, is shifting my thinking to when I'm in it. Like the law of non-judgment, like it could be good, it could be bad. I don't know. You
Mhm.
know, I don't know what the outcome is. If I hadn't had alcoholism, I would not have gone to Al-Anon. I would not have learned how to process really hard things. So then when my own trauma came up, I was able to process it. And then when my infertility came up, I knew exactly what to do. I knew the steps to process
Mhm.
hard things. And then when autism hit, same thing. So I think sometimes we're being set up for success in the future.
Mhm. And I think when we get off the route for whatever reason, life kicks us off the route, um, that we were very thinking we're going. Um, there's there's circling back. There's staying off the road and learning some things off the road, learning how to be in that realm that it's not smooth and it's unpredictable and it's scary. You don't know what you're doing and you're learning some lessons that's changing you. Um, and that is all part of the journey. I think it's, you know, I was at, I've been at going to several weddings recently, and I was at one of the weddings I went to. Um, I don't know, it's like hearing it differently being at the wedding. I think being married, young and being divorced, like, I go to these weddings and I'm, "Why are they saying that?" Like, I'm hearing it. I just am hearing the messaging different. Um,
Like what?
like, some of the things about, like, the hints when people get remarried, um,
What are
sometimes
what are the hints?
sometimes, um, depending on who you choose to marry you, some comments like that are feel very like kind of negative, like we kind of like you're broken, you know, like
Oh, at
like
second
some
weddings?
yeah, like somehow whatever happened before,
Uh,
like, and I'm just like, I hear it different because I think it feels like a judgment and it feels like that, but you learn like in our failings, if you want to call it that, like in the incompletion of a life forever together, you continue to grow and learn as people. Um, Even in our mistakes, if you want to call
yeah.
them that, you continue to grow and learn. And so it's like, is it I don't see it like that anymore. I don't see it as these are like these,
I don't see it that way,
I'm
yeah.
off the
I don't.
path and I gotta get back on the path, which like, well, maybe the whole point was to get off the damn path. Maybe that path wasn't the path I was supposed to be on, you know?
Maybe there isn't a path. Maybe the path is something that we put in our mind, in the construct of our mind. You know, my parents got divorced when I was 7, and their divorce was horrible, and a lot of bad things happened because of it. Because in divorce, when you have young children, you have to, like, most likely let your kids go somewhere else that where you're not.
Yeah.
And I know that because my kids are always with me or my husband or somebody that I trust, and we debrief constantly, right? So I didn't get any debriefing. I was with random. I remember my dad would take me to meet like a girl that he had met at a restaurant, and I was at her apartment. I mean, there was so many vulnerable places that I was at where I was like, there was opportunity for harm.
Right.
And in a lot
If
of
parents
cases,
aren't careful about what they're doing with their children during the
i-
divorce. Yeah.
in a lot of harm places that was there was harm, right?
Mhm.
And so um So for me, like, I didn't think there was a path. I did the path was never a visual and it was never built. I didn't believe in the path, right? I didn't
You're
believe it.
talking what specific path? The path
So
of happy
when you
marriage together or
know whatever path you're talking about when you say you got off the path or on the path or you made a mistake or you have to turn
mhm,
back around,
life path?
there was no path for me
I see. I see.
that was in front of me like your parents were married and then you
Mhm,
had
mhm. I
trips
see
and
what
you
you're
went.
saying. Mhm.
That's what I'm talking about, the because
Yeah.
I do notice that oftentimes you'll talk about, like, that was a mistake or people judging you, and I'm like, there were no people judging me because there was no path, there was no expectation. There
Mm,
was no one
mhm.
guiding to say, like, "This is the
Yeah.
right way, this is the wrong way." So, I never really believed in the path, and then I started to believe in the path later in life,
Mhm,
and then that's
mhm.
how, I met my husband and we have our kids.
Yeah.
But what's hard now is that I see it differently as well, and I
Yeah.
see people that are on the path and believe in the path, and I'm like, "You do realize that the path is only there because you believe in it, and you saw it, and you
Mhm.
had the experience of it happening before you."
Yeah, which is why some people you'll see them on social media, they're just like, "Freaking left my job, living in Costa Rica,
Right.
decided to do this." They're all totally happy, and you're like, "Oh, how did you do that? Like, you just left your job." You know? So, when you have that construct in your mind, it's
It's a
hard to
construct.
deviate from. You're like, "This is the right way," which to deconstruct that for myself, to deconstruct that, I have these strong messaging from the church, from my parents, from family, from friends to like say, okay, God, like I don't, how do I view this now? How do I go about this now? That's a
Yeah,
journey in itself.
and I think, like, and so how much of the path is, this is what I constantly bring up in therapy is with couples is like, well, why can't you make your own path and your own
Yeah.
traditions? And you're really good at that. You're really good at new traditions or maintaining some traditions like the scavenger hunt with your kids. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
every year I'm like, I got to remember that. And I forget. That's okay. But like you do create a lot of traditions um, that are not related to your upbringing necessarily, but that are
Hmm.
just things that you've brought into it. And I think that that's something um,
But
that
then
I,
I go off roading in my path in my life, and I'm like, this is so exciting. This is so, and then I'm like, oh God, okay. Like, but like, are we coming back? Are we going? Like, I have this duality in myself that's like, I like the idea of it, but then I'm out there and I feel vulnerable, and then I can question myself and be like, is this okay? Is it okay? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and that's still my work that I'm doing, of pushing against societal norm. Like when we did the one about dating younger, pushing against societal norms, pushing against like, concepts that is like what I would consider like part of my belief system, pushing against, what my parents always did. It's like it it's feels risky,
And
you know?
and for me, it's the opposite where, I am creating little blocks of construct for us and for me, that I'm like, okay, that's one of the things that challenges me the most though, is that I get frustrated when I don't know the traditions or I miss the things because I
Mhm.
didn't have the path laid out for
Yeah.
me or modeled for me.
So you're like making it as
Like,
you're
how did I
going.
miss that? Like, I still haven't done family photos every year. Like, I did family photos, like, the first 3 years, and I haven't done
I
them, and now they're huge, and
Who
I'm like,
made that rule? Okay, I just wanna yeah, let's go on this tangent for just 1
"That's a
second,
rule." It's a
okay?
rule. It's a
Only
rule.
in America. I'm sorry, the whole Christmas card with the family picture every single year, it's a lot of work. I always hear women stress out about it. You get all the clothes for the kids, matching and the
But they
site,
look
and
great.
everyone's complaining, and
They really look great, though.
every year, though? Does it need to be every year? I don't
I
think
know someone who does it every year, and every
I
year I've
definitely
seen those
don't
kids
do it
grow,
every
and
year.
now my kids, it's like, bloop, they're 12, and I'm, like, still like, "I gotta get on the every year picture thing."
I can't do it. I will tell you, though, I've been so restless lately. There is this real part of me that's like, as my kids are talking about, getting married and stuff, that I'm like, I feel this in me, this like, I'm ready to just jump. Like there's a part of me that is like, I could just put my house up for rent, or one of my kids could live in it and we figure it out, and I quit the university and I'm just gonna do telehealth, and my body is like, but then I wonder if I jump, if I'm gonna be like, what did I do? What did I I don't know. It's hard when,
They're
like you
fisting.
said, this
I'm
new
fist
project you're working on, we have these things that they're brewing, and it's like, okay, this is information. You don't have to just jump. You can hold it, pay attention. But there's
Yeah,
tempering in that
it is
of,
tempting.
is this me? Is this God? Is it timing? Am I being over responsible like I always am? Like,
Yeah.
what is it?
Well, you could do baby steps, like, that's one thing that I suggest with people when they're thinking of moving out of the state. I'll say, "Okay, well, why don't you just rent in Texas and rent
Oh
your
yeah.
house out
Oh yeah. I don't want to
and
live.
then try it
Yeah.
and even figure out where you wanna live." Even when people move from one end of LA to the other, I know you think the idea of living there is what you think, but, you know so I
Yeah.
think there even in the launching or the, like, big changes, I think that there are like, when you think about and I know we gotta wrap, but when you think about, the whole, like, um rocket launches that happen, like, we have them all the time. I can see them, like, honestly, it feels like every week above us, the rocket launches, and I'm like, "That was not just overnight. We're just going to space or we're just launching a
Hmm.
rocket." They, like, have done so many simulations and so much practicing and so much planning that
Yeah.
you we see the outcome, Like, I
Yeah.
showed you my business plan, and I showed you the outcome of what's
It's
happening,
brewing. Mhm.
and I know, don't you guys all like, I hate when I'm listening to a podcast and then they, like, tell you about something vaguely and you're like, "Tell me what's really happening." I'm that person. So, so you see the outcome, like, people watch you race or, even with your story, and you think, like, how many hours and hours and hours of training did it take for you to get to that place? No one
Yeah.
knows about that stuff, so.
Yeah. But it's in you, you know? So, even some of you
It's in
listening,
you.
it it's it's
I
well,
can't
some
even
of
do a
you
cycle class.
some of
Uh-huh.
you listening are like, do have things in you that have just been there, and, revisiting those ideas. a little bit thinking about them. Where are they now? Might have started a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. Like, is it time to take a detour? Is it time to invest some more time in it? Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows? But either way, believe God's with you even in the detour, and maybe that's the whole point, you know?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to go off-roading sometimes.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you soon.